Today, we're making salad that you'll actually look forward to eating. Today's video isn't so much a strict recipe to follow as it is an approach to making salads that are balanced, nutritious, flavorful, and delicious. Of course, we will include in our salad dressing. We're going to make dressing that is not too heavy, that supports our salad without having to be the only flavor component in it. We'll use greens. Absolutely, use that iceberg if you like the crunch, but we'll talk about a few different options for greens, such as this nice red lettuce, some spinach, or some of each or other things. Our salads will include something bright and flavorful. So either a fruit, such as berries, strawberries, blueberries, etc., apple, pear, dried fruit, or of course tomatoes, still a fruit, but we think of them as vegetables, cucumber, radish, shallot, etc. Another component of our salad will be an ingredient that has some richness. So that could be a cheese, such as goat cheese or cheddar. That could be, especially if it's an entree salad, something like beans, leftover fish, or chicken. And finally, our salad will include something crispy. So that could be, or crunchy. So that could be, of course, croutons. That could be nuts or seeds, or anything that gives it that nice crunch. All right, let's get mixing. We're going to start today's salad with our dressing, which I typically mix right in the bowl, whether it's a dinner salad for one person or a salad for a large group. So I always start with some vinegar, usually balsamic vinegar, unless the ingredients I plan to use suggest that white wine vinegar or sherry vinegar or something else might work better. Or even sometimes some citrus juice. But we're going with balsamic here, so I'm making a dinner salad, so I won't put a ton in here. It's just a dinner salad for me. And I usually go with a ratio of 2 parts vinegar to 1 part olive oil. Again, usually I use olive oil. Depending on what we want to do, we could use avocado oil, other kinds of oils, sesame, etc. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit of that olive oil in the bowl. This keeps the dressing from being too heavy. To that, we'll add a good sprinkle of salt. Again, depending on what else I plan to add in later, if I'm going to add in a really salty cheese, I'll keep the salt a little bit light. I'm going to be using some goat cheese in the salad, but we'll get there. So just a few sprinkles of salt should do me. Like that. Maybe 1 more for luck. We'll do a few grinds of black pepper. All right. And a pinch of sugar, and we aren't really going to taste the sweetness, but this does round out and soften the rest of the flavors. Depending again on what I plan to include, if I do not plan to include fruit, or maybe if I do plan to include just dried fruit, I will usually put a bit of whole grain mustard in as well. Again, usually we don't, like a little kind of tip of a forkful. It just helps to round out the flavors. In this case, I've got some goat cheese going in and also some strawberries. So the mustard won't quite suit the strawberries, and the goat cheese will take the place of that kind of binding action. But typically it doesn't actually taste very mustardy at the end. Of course, if you want it to, you can add more. All right, so at this point, I've got my dressing, not too much to it. It won't be heavy, but it is flavorful. I'm gonna give that a quick whisk with a fork. Again, this is my dinner, so I'm just gonna use the fork that I'll be eating with. All right, so if I'm using tomatoes or shallots as my sweet or bright flavor, I would go ahead and put those right in the dressing and let them marinate and to let that kind of some of that tomato juice sort of get into the dressing, or in the case of using shallots, to let the flavor of the shallots mellow a little bit and be a little bit less sharp. In this case, My bright ingredient is going to be strawberries. These are winter strawberries. I'm lucky enough to have a local farm that grows these. So they aren't quite as bright red as their summer counterparts, but don't let the little white shoulders fool you. They are every bit as flavorful. However, they will definitely fall apart and turn into strawberry mush if I let them sit for long at all in this dressing. So we're gonna skip that and move, we'll chop up the strawberries in a bit, but we're gonna move on to the greens. So again, from my local farm, this is some nice red lettuce. We have some fresh spinach, which is what I've opted for. And I've already got some fresh spinach pulled off and rinsed, and some arugula as well. I tend to like things a little bit more on the bitter or peppery side. So I like a fair amount of fresh arugula, or rocket, as it's sometimes called. Up to you. You can definitely mix in, if you like a lot of crunch. There's nothing wrong with some iceberg in the mix, but I do like to have some real flavor in my salad, and some of that to come from the greens themselves. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tear these. If you're working with a lot of greens, or if you want kind of a finer texture, of course you can chop your greens, but I usually just tear them. And some irregular sized pieces, as long as they're not really huge, because of course then it's just impossible to eat the salad in any kind of an elegant way. So we're gonna take the really chunky bits of spinach stems off. Running the risk of burying my fork here, but we'll rescue it. And then the arugula is already in pretty small pieces, so as that goes in, I might just kind of give it a rough little tear in half. Fresh lettuce mixes from the grocery store are great. Obviously, you usually have to pick through them for wilted bits. Sometimes you get one that stays fine in the fridge for days and days, and there's others that arrive home and they're already pretty wilted or kind of slimy in places. So even if they're double, triple, quadruple washed, you always kind of want to look through those at least a little bit. All right, so there's my greens. We're gonna rescue the fork, and we're gonna go ahead and give that a quick toss just to kind of get everything dressed, at least a little bit. All right, set that aside, and we're gonna move on to our bright ingredient, which in this case is strawberries. If you don't have fresh produce that just really sings to you, dried fruit is another good option. Dried cherries, cranberries, etc. Anything like that will work. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add some strawberries to our salad. Give these a little chop. Whoop. That one wanted to run away, but we got him. And there's no hard and fast rules here with what goes well. Play around with it. There are some definite classic flavors like strawberries and spinach and goat cheese, as I'm doing here. Pears are also great in the winter months, again with goat cheese, strawberry, etc. That's a real great combination. You can use walnuts with pears. You can use lots of different things. All right, we can obviously use summer flavors in the summer, tomatoes, etc., cucumber, but here's our strawberries in the bowl. All right, that's all we need the cutting board for. So we're going to move on to our rich ingredient. All right. So to make your salad really sing and to have it be flavorful, we want some component that adds some heft or some richness to it. And that could be a cheese, it could be beans, that could be leftover roasted fish or chicken, anything like that. Tofu, marinated, roasted or grilled tofu works great. there. Here I'm going to put a little bit of crumbled goat cheese. This is soft goat cheese. All right, I'm going to sprinkle that in to my salad. All right, we can use soft goat cheese, hard goat cheese, cheddar, again, whatever is going to suit you, whatever works well with the ingredients you have at hand. Blue cheese is great if that's something that you enjoy, whatever works for you. All right, so I'm going to put some of this goat cheese in on top. And as far as presentation goes, you can, if you're presenting this to a group of people at a dinner party, for example, you may want to mix the greens into the dressing as I did, but leave everything else on top, either mixed like this or in a more composed salad with sections of cheese, berries, etc. All right, but here I'm going to, I'll be mixing it all together in a moment. All right. Since this is a dinner salad, I'm going to double up on this sort of hefty component, and I want to make sure I have some protein involved. So I've got some leftover grilled salmon. It's kind of come closer to room temperature than refrigerator cold. I'm just going to flake that with my fingers. And we're already kind of messy, so may as well double down here. So we're going to flake that salmon into our salad a little bit more, like so. Give me just a moment to clean my hands up, and we'll be right back for the crunchy component. All right, so the last piece of our salad puzzle is going to be the crunch, and that crunch could come from nuts, it could come from seeds, it could come from croutons. I have what my family refers to as a bread collection. In the back of the refrigerator, it's the ends of loaves of bread. And when I have a collection of those going, I will pull some of that, cube it, and make fresh croutons. But today we're not going to use those as tasty as they are. We're going with pecans. Again, if you toast your nuts, that's great. You don't have to. It just deepens the flavor a little bit. And again, especially for a dinner salad, this is also going to add some healthy fats and a bit of protein too. So I'm going to sprinkle in some pecan pieces here on top of my salad. And there it is. One tasty, not boring dinner salad. It gets its flavor not just from glugs of ranch or Caesar dressing. It has lots of flavor components, and I do hope you give this a try, you give this formula a try, and I am going to give this salad a try. I'm gonna just go ahead and sneak a little bit of each part of that salad. Perfect. Well, hopefully you'll give this a try and check back every Friday at 4 o'clock for a new video.